Good evening, friends. It's good to see you all here today, and welcome and thank you very much for choosing to be with us today. So, last week, Debbie gave us a wonderful reflection on this month's guidance by President Ichikamiwan, which implored us to sit, stop, take a breath, relax every once in a while. And I found this to be very timely for myself, as I felt like I was going in many different directions at once. And I think probably for most of us, talked about in our Sunday service last time, that we tend to be multitaskers, right? And what we realized was it's not necessarily always a virtue to be admired. Sometimes when we can settle ourselves and just do one thing wholeheartedly, it's all the more meaningful. So, what he's really talking about is a kind of meditative state. But in Risshoku Seikai, you know that our focus is not necessarily just on traditional meditation, rather on sutra recitation. Sutra recitation. So the question is why? Well, seated meditation is really a wonderful practice. I highly encourage it. I think it's a great opportunity for us to calm ourselves, let go of that monkey mind. But why is it not emphasized then? Well, I think to answer this, we need to look no further than the Lotus Sutra. Now, our founder, he actually tried a variety of teachings before he found Risshoku Seikai, or he started Risshoku Seikai. When he was trying to find himself, he tried a variety of different methods. And each time he found that those methods could probably liberate somebody 60, 70, 80% of the time. But it wasn't until he found the Lotus Sutra that he found we could be liberated 100% of the time. And so with that in mind, he made that the focus of his whole life was to follow the Lotus Sutra wholeheartedly. One can say that the Lotus Sutra is the Buddha's final revelation of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The Lotus Sutra was something like it says in chapter 4. It's like this great rich man who has this treasure, right? All the treasury of the sutras, and he gives it finally to his poor son. So there is something that he's held on to, waited to the right time, and is finally able to give to us. So, like I say, it's the final truth of the Buddha. And one of the major points of the Lotus Sutra is to understand that all the teachings are one. All the teachings that he's taught up until that point are all just one. However, in order for us to really grasp it, we have to practice as bodhisattvas, thinking about the benefits of others above just our own. Anyone here heard of metta meditation? Yeah. It's a pretty popular form of meditation where you sit and instead of just letting go of your thoughts, you're actually focused on trying to make yourself better, making other people better. So you're thinking about the wellness of others and yourself, and even the people who are your enemies or the people that you dislike. We have those good thoughts for them as well. So it's a wonderful practice, but the Lotus Sutra actually takes it one step further. It's not just about removing our sufferings or trying to get a sense of peace of mind, but it's about embodying the qualities of the Buddha, that is, becoming the Buddha himself. So in this sense, sutra recitation is an integral part of our daily religious practice. It's a reaffirmation of our pledge to follow the Buddha's teachings in our daily life. And it manifests this power in our lives because the words have great power. Now, it's our practice, to recite twice a day, morning and evening. And most of us recite from the Kyoten. Now these are, of course, excerpts from the core verses of the core chapters of the Lotus Sutra. And I keep thinking, how wonderful it is that we have this. It's a kind of cliff notes, a summary where we can go right to the heart of what Shakyamuni was trying to teach us. And we can always refer to it over and over again and be encouraged and inspired by the Buddha. So in the morning, we make a prayer for guidance as we approach the new day, and we offer gratitude for the blessings of life. And in the evening, we reflect on our actions and our words throughout the day, and we offer prayers of gratitude to the people that we encounter. And also, it's a wonderful opportunity to repent. Repent of those deeds that maybe we harmed somebody throughout the day. We can reflect on that as well. As we perform these devotions diligently, we are nurturing and cultivating compassionate hearts. But one time is not enough. And I think probably most of you can attest to this who've practiced. You don't really get enough out of it just one time. Only daily sutra recitation, only through that practice are you able to at least get an idea of what's in the sutra. But over a long period of time, through that constant repetition, then it finally seems to sink in, and we get to understand a true understanding. And it develops and purifies our hearts and minds, and we start to aspire to enlightenment. So let me ask, how many of you can do this? How many of you recite twice a day?
Twice a day.
Once a day?
Once a day.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. How about once a week? On the first of the month? Well, it's okay. And it's very natural. See, reciting regularly is hard enough. But even if we are reciting regularly, it's inevitable that there will be days where we cannot recite. We just don't feel like it. We're out of energy, what have you. We can't do it. This is natural. And, I think most of us would probably prefer we come in on a Sunday, we do our sutra recitation, and we're good for the rest of the week. Right? But unfortunately, it's not that simple. Not that simple when we're trying to change our minds. It takes effort. So we know that the sutras were not compiled at the time of the Buddha. They were compiled later, after his life. So there could not have been such a thing as sutra recitation during his lifetime. It's a practice that began by his disciples. Right? And they tried to absorb his every teaching in their hearts by constantly repeating his words. Right? So we see it in the Lotus Sutra many times. It comes out in the Kyoten and the Lotus Sutra. Recite, recite, recite. The disciples are forefathers in a way, who are encouraging us. This is the only way you can hear the Buddha's teachings directly, by reciting. Right? So this is the method that we're constantly asked to do. And we see it's one of the 5 practices of a Dharma teacher, is to recite the sutra. So, this is the way in which the Buddha's teachings were handed down from generation to generation. And we cannot hear Shakyamuni directly. We can't stream a video of his on YouTube or something like that. He's not directly in front of us. So the only way that we can really hear the Shakyamuni in front of us is through our morning and evening sutra recitations. Shakyamuni is closest to us when we are reciting the sutras. And as such, his teachings never mean more to us than when we are suffering. When there's a quarrel going on in our lives with someone, when we've lost someone close to us, when things just aren't going our way. At these times, each word that we recite seems to resonate and speak to us directly. Personally, I will talk a little bit about my own experience. A couple of weeks ago, I was having some health issues, and I was trying to think about what was causing all of this. One of our important practices is always to look at the cause. Why are you feeling this way? Look at myself. I'm a relatively young person, relatively healthy, don't have a whole lot of stress going on in my life. What's the cause? But I knew that there had to be some stresses. Stresses build up even without our knowing of it. And so I assumed that's probably where it's coming from. But to clarify, I had to ask the Buddha. So I sat and I recited the sutra, seeking the Buddha's guidance. And as I recited from the Kyoten each chapter, I did so very deliberately, each word, trying to find what was going to resonate with me. And it was amazing. There's so much in here where I find the compassion of the Buddha. I can see that the Buddha is always there trying to guide and protect me, always trying to encourage me. It's a very healing sutra. I had never realized it before. I kind of took it very much at face value, but as I read its depth, in the depth, I can see the compassion of the Buddha always thinking about us. And this would really move me in my own practice. I came to see, reflect and see just how important reciting the sutra is, and to do it with a sincere mind. One of the practices I also did was recalling something someone wise once told me about the breathing practice. And when we're reciting, that voice and the breath, as it comes up, it's almost as if it's massaging the heart. It's massaging the heart. Especially when I try to do a kind of a chant, a real, like the Japanese do, a very deep chant, I can really feel my body moving. And in that way, it's kind of massaging the heart. But when our bodies are stressed, we get a back massage, we massage our shoulders. So why not massage the heart? Right? So there's a lot of, so I thought that's something to keep in mind, and it helped me as I was able to settle my own mind. So our daily chanting, as we know, begins with the recitation of, with the meditation on the place of enlightenment. This tells us that wherever we are at the place of enlightenment. Right? In front of my altar, that is the place where I can become awakened to the truth, wherever I am. So there's something very significant about having that sanctuary. And in that point, my altar, it became something of a channel between the visible world and the invisible world. We call upon the Buddhas in the 10 directions, the Bodhisattvas, Maitreya, Manjushri, 4 great Bodhisattvas. At that moment, we're in the assembly, surrounded by all these Bodhisattvas. And we look up, and there's the Buddha at his pulpit, speaking directly to us. And we can hear his words reverberate within us as we say them aloud. How wonderful it is to be able to sit face to face with the Buddha and be able to ask his guidance. When we feel this, we can't help but feel encouraged to practice his teachings. Now in Buddhism, we have prayer. Prayer is a big part of sutra recitation. But prayer in Buddhism means the wish to live guided by the Buddha. The wish to live guided by the Buddha. To live the truth as revealed by the Buddha. Prayer does not mean just asking the Buddha to save us from a hardship, right? Or to make our spouse nicer, or to give us lots of money. Instead, it's from the depths of our prayer that the state of mind emerges in which we are willing to leave everything to the Buddha. I let it all go. My teacher once said, let go, let Buddha. Let go, let Buddha. He used to say this often. What that means is, why put so much anxiety and worry into what's going to happen? We certainly can't affect the past either. So let's just do our best with what we're doing. And the Buddha will certainly guide us where we need to be. And certainly where we are right now is that place. So, just like meditation, it's through our recitation that we can reach deeper levels of introspection, which create a meditative state. And this loosens the attachment to things, our worries, our anxieties, our frustrations. They release like vapor as we come to accept our current conditions with gratitude. There are many mentions in the Lotus Sutra about the importance of recitation and how it helps to cultivate ourselves. I just want to read a couple here from the Sutra on the Meditation of Bodhisattva Universal Wisdom. It says here, if you want to reflect upon and cleanse yourself, to be freed forever from the dust of delusions, to ever dwell in the city of Nirvana, and to be peaceful with a clear heart, you must recite the Great Vehicle Sutra. The Great Vehicle Sutras are the Mahayana Sutras, Lotus Sutra. And bring the Mother of Bodhisattvas to mind. Mother of Bodhisattvas is the Dharma. Am I acting in connection with the Dharma? Or am I going off in a different path? The organ of thinking is like a monkey that never rests even for a moment. If you want to tame it, you must diligently recite the Great Vehicle Sutras. Our minds constantly meandering around. Right? How do we calm it? How do we calm it? We focus on the truth. That everything that's happening is an illusion. So settling ourselves, seeing reality, that's where we can understand our true minds. So the wonderful thing about recitation is that it's personal. It's personal. What we read is up to us. Say we like chapter 21 over chapter 20. Well, by all means, please recite chapter 21. You like chapter 25? Read that. If that's what's calling to you, if that's what you need to hear right now, recite that. If you prefer the actual Threefold Lotus Sutra, recite that. Whatever it is, it's up to you. There's not a value. Everything is one, we mentioned. Right? So it's all the truth. We just find what speaks to us, and we can practice that way. Actually, today, I meant to say that each one of these sutras has a great value because there is power in each of these words. And today I was looking at my, I should have brought it, it's a kind of calendar. Each day it has different message of inspiration from a founder. And today's message was, if there's something that's worth doing, you should start today. I thought, how appropriate. Right? So we're talking about something like this, something that's very hard for us to get into. We need the motivation to just get started, get on the path. So, with that in mind, let us practice today, all the more diligently, to recite daily, even if just once a day, even if just 2 chapters, or however often you want to do it. And try in that way to try to connect our minds to the minds of the Buddha. Thank you.